Welcome to the I Get It Show, a creatively fun discussion focused on the pursuit of meaningful daily life. With a wide variety of topics, insights through celebrations, influencer interviews, and everyday life journey interactions. Inspiring you to pursue passionate happiness and discovering the simple aha moments in life that serve to power the journey of purpose. And now your hosts for the I Get It Show, Jeff Armour and Lindsay Lott.
Welcome to the I Get It Show. I'm Lindsay, here with Jeff.
Hey.
Hey.
What's up, girl?
How you doing?
What you doing? Like it.
Yeah, and Sean, we're glad you're back.
The
clearly.
truth is, I'm happy you're
Are
here.
you really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, obviously.
Well,
Couldn't do it without you.
Welcome back. All right, Sean's here.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And Be Wise, I think,
B-Wise is going to join us. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. We'll
sticks
check
around.
him in a bit.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like I haven't seen you all for a while.
Yeah, it's been a
Missed ya.
whole week. So
Been a minute.
I know. Listen, I get it. It's easy to miss me.
It really is, but
Yeah.
I guess this is appropriate. But I did
Is
have
it?
a dream about you.
Lindsay, we were very clear off air about not talking about this in front of others. Right.
Well, you helped me.
I can dream about you.
You helped me hide a body, bro.
No, that's, again,
Yeah.
not for the airwaves.
Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, there's more than one. But anyway,
Get into our topic. Oh, this is fitting with the dream.
was it?
Is honesty always the best policy?
Is
How
it?
about that?
Is it? Tell me all about your truth. Right?
Yeah.
You ever heard that? Like people will say, I'm just living my truth or just speak your truth. Interesting. Love to unpack that
Interesting.
today.
Do it. Let's
Right.
hear it. What do you think?
You know, I find that a lot of people don't really want to hear my truth. So they only want to hear their truth.
Right?
Weird.
Yeah. So what do you do with that?
Right. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I did have something to share
Mm-hmm.
that happened to me a few days ago. Have you heard of these gender reveal parties?
Yes.
So I actually went to one a few days ago.
Okay.
And it took me 15 minutes to find out why I was the only one that was naked.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, apparently the gender reveal wasn't for the people that were actually at.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
make a much more exciting party, by the way.
Right. I was like, why am I the only one? I don't even really know what you guys are yet. I
Well,
would
you're
say.
onto something. You
I
should just
think so.
start your own little
Right. What could possibly
parties.
go wrong?
Nothing. Sounds great.
Yeah. Turns out I'm male,
Okay.
by the way.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
And
Gender reveal.
you
party.
revealed that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I texted you to find out what was going on, but you didn't text me back. So I was kind of like, geez, I'm left
so
out here all on my
disappointing.
own.
Revealing yourself, your
Right.
truth.
Well, literally, they put it on there, gender reveal party. And I thought, who doesn't like a party?
Right.
And it's been some occasions I've revealed my gender. So
at a party. That seems like
Right.
I mean, I can understand how you
Right.
made that connection.
It
right?
was, I guess, when I realized that the place we were at didn't have a pool, that's when I probably should
like,
have had my first clue that this is something. But then there wasn't a bowl for my keys or anything. So
Yeah, that makes it awkward when you're like, where are you supposed to put those?
I did not let that stop me. We're going to party. Yeah. I was like, where's the blue smoke? Here I
There
am.
you are.
Anyway.
And that was your
I
truth.
brought my own smoke.
There
Back to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, sorry to
back
throw you
to
off.
me
Right.
with truth. That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah,
what
so
are your thoughts on that?
I-
You think it's like always best to be honest, fully completely honest with everyone?
This is like, I think this is like affects everyone in the world
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes we don't express truth
Mm-hmm.
for any number of reasons. And I have heard this saying that says honesty is always the best policy,
Right.
but there's so many times when people's honesty isn't really the best policy,
Mm-hmm.
right? But their honesty actually is not that good.
Right.
So how do we determine what it is and when best to share it and what is our purpose for sharing it?
Right.
And I think we exist a lot of times in our daily lives with people who like to play gotcha. Right? They're looking for reasons to get you and tell you. And one of my favorite things that people will say often, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, is that somebody will say to a random person, say someone would say that to me, for example, and they would say things like, you know what your problem is? And they're about to tell me their truth about what they think about me. And I'll tell you, if I might, Lindsay, if that's your real name. And I can't wait to hear how it's going with the man search. But when someone says to me, do you know what your problem is? I find within me this incredible opening of my heart. And I think to myself, hey, what are the odds that you showed up today?
Been waiting for this moment.
Like I was thinking this morning, God, send me someone who is going to tell me what my problems are. And then I open up and I say, please tell me all that you reveal to me about what my problems are. And then life is so much better.
Right, of course.
After that.
Yeah,
what do you
that
think?
makes sense.
Right.
That makes sense. I know. I don't, that saying's interesting. Honesty is always the best policy.
Yeah.
I think it's like, it depends. I think it depends because I think like
sometimes a good policy.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the way I think about it is my truth, my honesty, not everybody deserves, right? And like there's not.
Oh, really?
No, because
Really?
I don't.
You don't deserve my honesty. I like it.
But I don't think that like so here's how I look at honesty. Honesty, like in truth, like that creates connections with people, like it sort of intimacy with people, right? Like if we're sitting here and talking about what I feel is true or what's true in my life or what's going on in my life, and you share.
Is this part of the dream?
No.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to be clear about.
But if it's like there's mutual, but I think that's like you kind of have to. For me, I have to look at it. Who do I want to like have intimate relationships with? Like in the intimate meaning, like emotionally connected and vulnerable with, right? And there's certain people that I feel like
true selves. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I feel like I can trust and like be open with, right? And then there's like acquaintances that there's a little bit less truth, and then there's strangers, and then the government. Yes, like dictators, all those things.
I see.
That like they don't deserve my truth. I don't feel safe like being my true self or showing that like true part of myself to them.
Yeah. So I don't. I think there are many reasons why honesty isn't the best policy, and I think there are dramatic things like maybe back in World War II when. There was a lot of cleansing of Jewish people, right? And people would hide them in rooms or under floors and basements. And people would be asked, are you hiding so-and-so? If honesty is always the best policy, well, I guess your number's up. Sorry. Right? No, they actually did not tell the truth, right? They weren't honest with the people that were asking them. And so how do we balance? How do we decide when it's right? And how do we decide also when it's wrong to not be honest?
I've always kind of taken into consideration, like, do no harm, right? Like, I don't want to do any harm with my words or my actions. So if the truth is somehow going to cause harm to somebody else in their lives, maybe it's not my place to reveal that truth.
So who decides the harm?
That's true. No, that's a good point because the truth perhaps could like set them free, right? I know that's like
let me write this down. I just had a breakthrough. Write it down again.
No,
the truth.
But
the truth shall set.
Oh my gosh! I'm just saying. Like, yeah, you don't want to harm somebody with telling them the truth.
You have a way with words.
Whatever. Gosh. Like,
yeah. I'm sorry.
Are you tracking with me or am I like
no, I'm tracking with you completely. I just wanted to make sure that I'm writing down the great statements that you're saying.
Okay.
But the thing is for you is
maybe sometimes accepting the truth, shining the light on the truth, although it can be painful for yourself or that person, really is the only way for them to be liberated or to like live their higher purpose and be like their most aligned with like their truest self.
Yeah, I think that when you say do no harm, though, I mean, sometimes we do lots of harm unintentionally.
Right.
Or we don't really do the harming. The receiver receives it in such a way that causes harm. Like there's all kinds of things that honesty and truth get in the way. And I do hear people say all the time, I hear it social media, in person, like everywhere. It's like, listen, you just need to live your truth.
Yeah.
So if everybody lived their truth, what would happen? Right? Oh, awkward silence.
I think we should ask Be Wise because I'm like,
well, isn't it crazy though? Because I mean, that's like, what is this all about? So you're saying that
a little chaotic.
You're saying that Be Wise might have some answers to
hope
this.
so.
Here we go. All right. Be wise. What do you got for us?
I've got answers, kids. I've got answers.
Oh,
and
great news.
I got to say, you're wise to come to me. So, Jeff, let's start with you, brother.
Okay.
I can tell you, unfortunately, that was not your first gender reveal party.
He's known you a long time.
There's a lot of truth in there.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
A lot of truth right there. And brother, I say loosely. So
well, it's actually pronounced brother, but whatever.
Yeah. My bad. So listen, hey, this is a great topic. I love this topic today.
Yeah. Was a seal?
I've got a lot to say on it.
Looked like a seal there. I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot to say on this topic, and Lindsay kind of touched upon the definition of truth and what is in fact the definition of truth, because it can be different for everybody, but I'll argue that it's different based on topic. For example, I can tell you that this is a pen, so truth is much easier with material objects.
For those of you listening with the audio, Be Wise is holding up a pen with a red tip.
Yeah. And because we can visually see that, we can reasonably deduct that in fact is truth. That's a pen, kids. That's a pen. But if I said that this is an elephant, you can clearly see that that's not an elephant. So that's not truth. But when we talk about, that's material objects, it's easy to define. But if you talk about objects of thought, for example, like justice or love, I mean, those are much harder things to actually define. And so then it becomes the definition of that thought. And now what we have is an opinion. We have an opinion, and now we can talk about, is that opinion accurate or inaccurate? And the problem that we have today is that people have a difference of opinion of what their opinion is or what their opinion should be. And is their opinion correct? And I'd argue that in today's society, the media and other entities that are out there have tried to tell youth and young people and that their opinion is the only thing that matters. And their truth is the only thing that matters, and they must defend it at all costs. And so this is where you can't really factually come up with, is that a pin? You have a thought, and you have to try to defend that thought. And if you don't allow for other opinions, then it's very difficult to have a discussion. So truth then is based on a set of beliefs, and it's a temporary belief in knowing something in that moment in time. So I've got an example for you. Lindsay, Jeff said, is that your real name? So how do you know that's your name, Lindsay? How do you know?
That's what I've been told.
Right. You have a birth certificate that says that, right?
Yes.
Your mom and dad have called you that your whole life. People have called you that your whole life. And so that's your set of beliefs, and that's fact, that's your name. But what if I were to come and tell you, I represent the government, and back when you were a kid, you entered a witness protection program, and really your name is Matilda, and I have all the documentation, Matilda, that this is your new name.
I would have guessed Karen.
Karen? Damn.
Karen?
I would have guessed Karen, but anyway, back to you.
Definitely Matilda. So so that can impact, beliefs can impact the factual nature of your statement.
Interesting.
And your belief.
Very interesting. Yeah. So truth is like B-Ways was saying, is you have facts, like you have empirical evidence of it, right?
Yeah.
But then
Who
I think
decides
it gets
the
so
facts?
chaotic. Well, like he said, like this is blue, this is the color, this is black. But then
For those of you listening audio wise,
the pen thing again. Yeah.
Lindsay's holding up a blue pen.
But the
It was red. It was
the
a red
chaos
Well, you're red. She's
that
blue.
ensues in society is when people they're what they believe becomes their truth, and I'm supposed to just like accept it, or like how does that work? How do you like stay in connection with people when you don't have the same, you don't believe in their truth, but they that's what they stand by.
Yeah, so I think that there an ultimate truth by which everything is judged. So that is, I think, part of the challenge in our daily lives, is that we base our truth either on things that we've just conjured up in our heads, or have avoided getting other people's perspectives or opinions to be able to formulate. Or we just have incomplete information. Recently, we launched this satellite into orbit, which is like the most powerful. What do they call it? Like
James Webb.
Yeah,
Satellite?
telescope.
Telescope.
Yeah. So thank you very much. So that's why he's the smart one.
Right.
So the telescope is like the most powerful one we've ever done. We put it in the sky, and so they pointed it to a place in that was kind of dark from where you look at it from other processes where they've looked at the skies. So they pointed it, and they discovered that there are a bunch of other galaxies in this area that they never saw before that are larger than our own galaxy. And the process is such that I was watching a show the other day where all these guys that have written these books on the cosmos and life and earth and everything else literally said, we're going to have to change what we wrote in our books because a lot of the information now makes what we wrote, which we thought was true, now is completely gone, and we have to start all over again because now we know things that we did not know before.
Right.
Well, I actually have a term for that, and it's called life.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
As you grow and as you pursue knowledge and information, you become more aware of what is and what isn't, what is factual and what is not factual. Now, there are times when we avoid the truth because it doesn't fit our narrative, but I think that truth is really an important process, which you got to just determine what is ultimately the truth, because my truth can often be different from your truth.
Right.
And somewhere along the way, one of us is probably going to be wrong. Now, granted, it's most likely going to be you. I understand that.
Well, probably, yeah.
But in the situation, like what determines then you are holding on to your facts and your truth regardless, or as Brian likes to say, irregardless of the situation. And I'm holding on to mine. And then it causes a division because we are not interested in hearing each other's perspectives and then gaining more knowledge or more perspective on our perspection, right? So that's where instead of trying to understand you, I need to understand you. I need to be able to take and say, Lindsay is whack on this, or you know what, maybe I'm the one that's whacked on this, and having the character to say, you know what, the way that I've thought about this, actually, I need to revise.
Right.
I've now discovered more galaxy in my mind than I realized was available before. And now I have to rewrite my truth to be updated and revised version now that I have that information. And that takes some character because most people are not interested. Once they've held on to it, that's all you're getting.
That's so true. And I have a really difficult time relating with those people. Like I have my truths, but I also really love like sitting down and talking to somebody that has different truths and learning from them and becoming more aware, expanding my own truth. But at the same time, I think there comes a point where, like you said, I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me, but just like having like enough respect for one another to understand that we don't believe the same things. We don't have the same truths, and that's okay.
There's this statement that I have that I say, it's not my responsibility to make sure you know how wrong you are.
Yeah. Right. But like you said, if we're on this journey of life, always evolving, always growing, always progressing. If we're so close-minded and aren't able to like learn other people's truths and how they see the world and how they perceive different experiences, then we limit our own growth.
Yeah.
And it's either, oh, your truth is different than mine. Mine's going to evolve. Maybe I do believe some of those things that like I didn't originally, or it just makes me more solid in what I've originally thought or felt or believed.
Right?
Yeah, it confirms it. But I do think like being open and, being aware that there are things that we don't know or we don't believe or we don't understand yet, but allowing ourselves to still be open to those experiences.
So our FCC moderator, Sean, I believe, has something to add to this.
I think we're watering down the word truth too much.
Oh, are we?
I think we are. We're taking the word truth, which I think has...
When you say we, do you mean the society or you mean Lindsay?
Well, I choose A and B.
Right. Lindsay, as the leader of society, is watering things down.
I would like to think truth as indisputable fact, something that it cannot be arguable. You look at the sky and say there's galaxies, there's stars and whatnot like that. When you say my truth, what you're really saying is my opinion, my belief. It's not truth. It's perception. We are a society that wants to be right, wants to be logical, but we're not. That's the contradiction, is we actually walk around with emotion, intent, and perception saying that it's truth, when in reality it's not truth. So we live lives of lies saying that they're truths.
Do you think that people do that because they don't want to be challenged?
Well, not that they don't want to be challenged, but they believe that whatever they believe is fact, truth, and they haven't stepped away enough to say, "Well, hey, let me understand what belief really is compared to fact and truth." I think there is a line between the two.
Yeah, I agree. And
we're like, no, I'm right. I'm not. Everybody can't be right. Everybody can have an opinion, though.
Right.
But I think that takes like a degree of maturity to recognize like there is a truth.
Sorry.
And then
You're so silly with your maturity talk.
Why? I don't
Look
understand.
at Lindsay's like, we
Because
should
I'm in
all
the room
just
with
be
you
mature.
two.
Right.
Like, come on.
Right.
Just
Someone has to be the voice of reason, and that's you today.
No, but it does. It takes a mature. So let's say like you go through a divorce, right? And it's so easy to be and there's the facts of the situation, and that's the truth. And it takes a maturity to recognize that that was the truth, and like your role that you played in it and accountability for it. But more often than not, like one person's perspective is that they're the innocent victim in the situation. The other person's perspective is he was an asshole, whatever it might be. But like,
I said it was a he.
Why
is he? I don't get why it's a he. Because sometimes it's a she.
But I'm just saying those different perspectives, and then a person
go to
can
more
cling
gender
to
reveal
them and
parties.
say, "That's the truth. That's the truth." But it does like if you develop your awareness and maturity, you can recognize, well, that's how I perceive the situation. He perceives it totally different, and the third thing is the actual.
But we're not
truth.
a mature society. We don't do that.
Well, perhaps we need to try.
And when we claim it, and when presented with it, we still don't do it.
Oh boy, what do you think about that?
When we
Why don't we?
Okay,
if
so
we know,
if I've been through a divorce, and so surprised.
How could anybody let you go?
I know, it's a shock for everybody there. But yes, and having heard divorce stories a million times over, there's the perceptions at both sides. But of course, whichever side you're talking to is so adamant that that their side is the truth. Even when you say, "Hey," and I had this in a dating situation where I was like, "Don't you think," to the girl I was dating, and I said, "Maybe you should look at this from a different perspective."
Right.
And she went nuts, absolutely lost it.
Lack of maturity.
Yeah. But she was like, no, I want this, and I want what's best for the kids, and I want this. And I said, well, if you want what's best for the kids, then you would look at it from this perspective. And then we didn't go out again.
Right.
And then she ended up marrying my current wife's ex-husband. That's a different story.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's a different episode. So be wise. Be wise. This is a lot of content. You've started a forest fire, so try to tap this down, will you? Talk about reality.
Holy buckets.
Yeah.
Gee, that's a lot of stuff to unpack there, Sean. And I think maybe we should seek some advice from Be Wise.
Yeah, Be Wise will be the way to go. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's
Check
your
my insurance provider first.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. So Lindsay, I think that you are the adult in the room. And
I think so too. Obviously.
To go with this. Sean, I absolutely loved what you said. I think that is absolutely the take. But the problem is that that's not our society today. Our society today is one of political correctness, and somebody has decided what that truth is. In fact, Bill Maher hosts a show called Political Incorrectness, I think is what it is. But he was asked to define what political correctness is, and he said it's the elevation of sensitivity over truth. Sensitivity over truth. But I'd say it's gotten worse than that, because I'd say today it's the moral posturing of sensitivity over truth, that we've now have to virtue signal our truth. We have to virtue signal to everybody, what our truth is, and we have to defend our truth. And so it's devolved into something that's an opinion, and then we have to stick to that. And I think in order for us to think, we have to risk being offensive, because when people talk about stuff that needs to be discussed, we have opinions. And so the chances are we have viewpoints. And so the chances are you're not going to offend somebody in the course of that discussion is next to zero. I mean, we're gonna offend people with the things that we say. And we have to be willing to do that. And as Lindsay said, we got to be the adults in the room. We have to be the parents, and we have to be the grandparents to teach our kids this skill set, the ability to decipher opinions. And then here's a concept: accept and listen to other people's opinions, and then maybe apply those to what we're thinking. We don't have to change our mind necessarily, but being open to that debate and being open to that discussion. I think we have to be the adults in the room in this instance, and get back to the way we used to be in this regard, and not be so sensitive on.
So I have a couple of questions too. Go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, if I want to throw some gas on the fire, we can talk about something current about the Dilbert cartoon.
I'm not
Because
familiar.
are you familiar with what's happening with Scott Adams and the Dilbert cartoon?
Is he being canceled?
Watch cartoons.
Oh no, a newspaper strip.
Newspaper comic.
He's made
One
some anyway, highly controversial. Said some things. There we go. And basically, his entire comic strip has been canceled out of 200 plus newspapers within just a couple days. And he's doubled down on his statements and his beliefs.
Yeah.
Say, I believe this. I believe this.
Yeah.
And the slapback has meant a cancellation of his career. So, is what he's saying his perception and belief? Yeah. Is it truth? I don't know. Is it worth discussion?
Yeah.
I don't know
Yes.
if people want to discuss it because it's so racially charged.
Well, I think the reason why most people don't want to discuss those things is, I believe, because everything is so surface. If you get past the surface level of where their problem is, they can't defend it because they don't have the ideology enough behind their basis to actually argue with it. And so, like, for instance, it's really brave of him to be able to have this walk away from this career of 20 something years.
It was taken away, but yeah,
Right.
okay.
But I'm just saying that, so Be Wise, by the way, fun fact, Sean, you'll appreciate this. Be Wise and I have a mutual acquaintance whose ex-father-in-law is a character in the Dilbert
okay.
comic strip. So
Or
that's
was.
a fun fact. Yeah.
Was.
Yeah, he's still a character. You just have to get it from like a thrift store now.
Yeah.
Thrift store book of those things.
Yeah.
Brian, I did have a couple of questions. You said accept, and did you actually mean acknowledge someone's opinion? Because here's my thing. My thing is that
Agreed.
I think often we say the word accept with people when we actually say I acknowledge. It doesn't mean that I agree with you. I
Right.
don't accept your premise, but I
Recognize that
acknowledge that
that's-
that's
yeah.
what you look like.
Right.
So that's what you think. And then the other question I had was, you brought up elephants earlier. So this is the rule I found with mentioning elephants. If you're going to talk about elephants, everything else is irrelevant. Just so you know. All right, back to you.
Ill elephant.
Back
Well,
to
these
you.
are great questions. These are fabulous questions. And I used to say you're worried about the elephants you're worried about the ants when the elephants are coming.
Yeah.
That's what I used to say.
Wow,
So
so
that was
profound.
Sounds like he still says it. I'm going to write this down, by the way. We're going to worry
Yeah,
about
write
the
that down.
ants. The elephants are coming.
I think that acceptance of truth is a thing to be debated. I think that we have to have that discussion, and then we have to come to, well, we don't have to, but I think it's important that we come to an agreement on an acceptable definition of an opinion versus, is this pen red or is this pen an elephant when we're worried about it. I don't know. Can you see that? I don't know.
Yeah, those are listening audio-wise cannot see it at all, but Be Wise is holding up a red pen. To
What?
those of you there.
But I think that's interesting because we are in a society now where we're like tiptoeing around. We don't want to offend anybody because we don't want the repercussions, or we don't want to like come across as like rude. But I think we do need to like be bold and courageous with what our opinions are and what we believe and
Yeah.
what we want to teach our children. Because let's be honest, if, like you said, everyone's living their truth and we're supposed to just accept everyone's truth, that creates a lot of confusion in the world, and
Yeah.
especially for children
Yes.
that
What
are
is-
trying
what
to
is true then?
find their own identity in their lives. Like,
And
they're-
isn't
that
that
we
the
need to.
responsibility of the parents and the grandparents? That's a skill set we've got to teach the kids,
I agree, and
because I think it's a lost skill set.
but that only, and I think that we teach through example, like you said, like we have to decide like what is facts.
I thought it was
what
the
is just
responsibility of the village. Wasn't the village? Wasn't
No,
the village
that's
people
true.
responsible for
it's
this?
the community. I say the community, right? Like
Right.
it takes more than just like it takes a village to raise it, but it is about like who you surround yourselves with and like who
Yeah.
you surround your children with. But
Right.
I don't know. Like the society is confusing right now.
Yeah, well, I think that acknowledging, where where people's mentality are on certain topics and subjects is fine. I think that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to accept it, but I think that in most cases, when it comes to discovering truth or sharing what you believe to be true, generally speaking, it really needs to come from a heart of helpfulness. Like, is what I'm going to share with you coming from a spirit of helpfulness, or is it coming from a spirit of, I want you to know how wrong you are? And I think that's where people share truth often, is they share it in a way that says, I want you to come to the realization of that I am the keeper of all things that are true, and you're not.
Right. Like, what is our purpose in saying our
Right.
truth to a person? And you can also feel somebody out. Like, are they going to be receptive to what you have to offer them on an honest conversation, or is it just going to result in back and forth argument or attacks, or is it going to cause harm to them or the relationship or whatever it might be? And I think you can fill that out and know if that's somebody that you can be truthful with.
So I found this, and I thought you might find this interesting. So I'm going to read. This is story time now,
Yay.
Lindsay, for you. We're going to read you something.
I like it.
Hate has 4 letters, but so does love. Enemies has 7 letters, but so does friends. And I find it amusing right now that some of you listening in are actually counting the letters.
I am.
Try to fact check me to see if what I'm telling you is true. Right?
So far.
That's what I'm saying. So enemies is 7 letters, and so does friends. Cry has 3 letters, but so does joy. Negativity, this is going to be a fun one. Go ahead and feel free to. I've done the math in advance for you, Lindsay.
Okay.
Negativity has 10 letters. Again, count them out. 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay.
Check.
But so does positivity. Like, there's an immediate difference between one response and another, and they each have the same balance within them. We just have to choose which way to go. And so lying has 5 letters, right? But so does truth. Truth has 5 letters. And so the challenge for us is to determine in our situation, where does ultimate truth come from? And how are we applying that standard in our own lives to shape our worldview and our thought process? Often our truth stems from our purpose. Why are we here? What am I about? What am I trying to accomplish? And often our truths that we like to spew to others really come from our traumas, come from our challenges or our difficulties that then cause us to often be cynical. And our truths are ways in which to be bandages that say, I don't want to put myself in a situation where you could possibly reopen my trauma. So my truth is, and I'm going to live my truth, whether you like it or not, really isn't the best medicine for actually being all that we can be. We must discover and continue to discover the things about us and our purpose that cause us to become more and more enlightened. And as we do that, we discover more and more about what ultimate truth really is. What do you think?
I like that. And I think our truth is based on like our experiences and our perceptions of those experiences. And oftentimes that does cause us to just, be bandaged up and not let other people in. But I do think when we are honest with ourselves, first and foremost, like truly, deeply, sometimes brutally honest, that's where we're able to find healing from some of those traumas and past experiences. And when we find that healing and discover that healing, then we're able to recognize that maybe our purpose is being truthful with our experiences. Maybe our truthfulness will allow us to have more meaningful connections with other people. And when we have connections, right, there's love and there's growth and then progression and evolution as a collective, which I think is part of everyone's purpose here on earth.
So for us, I think this is a really good topic for us to continue to debate on social media, and can't wait to do a live on this one with you about this and invite everybody to be part of that and to join in and I don't give your own perspective on where your truth lies and how do you discover what is really truth for what you think and believe and what may need to be altered or changed based on new information. The galaxies are far and wide that we haven't even discovered yet. Right. And so I think that it'd be fun to learn more and grow more together. And I think that's part of the heart of it is that I want to learn more about how I can be. And I can only do that by learning from you. We all grow better together because now I can learn from you about where you're coming from. And as we begin to be more understanding, then we become more understanding. And suddenly we are better connected together and the world around us is better connected.
Great. And that's the only way we can grow.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. So and remember, by the way, that when you're talking about elephants, everything else is irrelevant.
That's the takeaway, people. Thanks for listening. Join us next week. We'll be talking about unsolicited advice.
Oh boy,
which will be
yep.
interesting.
Don't forget to join us on socials. Find us at I Get It Show.
Yep, check it out. Thanks, guys.
You've been listening to The I Get It Show. Witty and insightful conversations about nothing, discussing how our daily lives are influenced by everything. Feel free to reach out. theIGetItShow@gmail.com. Like and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, this has been The I Get It Show. This has been a production from a podcast studio.